You're listening to Rod and Style Radio, the latest podcast brought to you by rodandstyle.com, which is where you can find links for merch, videos from our YouTube channel, along with stories and tech talk from some of the greatest folks in the culture. So grab the wheel, it's about to get wild. You've tuned in to Rod and Style. Johnny Suede, welcome to Rod and Style Radio. How you been, man?
I've been good. Keeping busy.
Especially after that Moon Eye show.
Well, the Moon Eye was good, but then the following weekend at the Grand Nationals, that was just, I mean, I've been doing that show for a couple of years now, but it was nothing like this last one. It was just insane.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of historic moments that happened in the last couple weeks right before Grand Nationals happened. So, for one, I'm sure a lot of people didn't realize that the Hirohata Mercury was going to be there. And that was a surprise after seeing it get sold for $1.9 million.
But I think people are just happy to be out.
Oh, for sure.
And the attendance was pretty high. So, I mean, the Saturday was just jam-packed from the opening till the close. It was, and usually Sundays are dead, and it was actually pretty decent.
Now, were you out there as a vendor, or did you just attend as a spectator? As
a vendor.
Nice. How'd you do?
Unbelievable. Fantastic.
That's always
Because, a lot of people will do booths and they'll do like maybe 6 booths or, usually 4 to 6 booths where they have that big impression, And me, with this one, it kind of came up last minute. She goes, "Hey, I got a really good spot for you." And I was just kind of, I don't know. I don't really have that much stuff. I'm not really ready for it. And she goes, "Well, it's a great location. It's right when you enter. So everybody's going to pass you." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll do it." So I had a little 10 by 10, and it was like, it was crazy, because I've had that spot before, and I was selling the same stuff, and I did probably 10 times what I've done in the past there.
Oh, that's incredible, man! Congrats on that.
Yeah, and I think I kind of I think it was mostly because I've been really pushing it on Instagram and Facebook a lot. So a lot of the people that came to me were saying, "Hey, I saw these on Instagram. I follow you on Instagram, and I wanted to actually see them in person." But then once people see them, they're going to buy it.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, and you've been blowing up a lot lately. Of course, you've been the one to go to for when it comes to clicker jackets anyway, for a long time. So, and there's a lot of folks in this culture that definitely know who you are, but just for the sake of having a nice little podcast to listen to, let's get into the fact that how did you get into all of this in the beginning?
Well, I 30 years ago I went to design school. That's how I got kind of into the clothing thing. So oddly enough, I knew that I wanted to make clothing, but I just I didn't really know as to where I was going to end up with it. So I've done everything. I've done right after school, I did wedding dresses. And then the next thing I did high-end women's wear. And then, I gradually got into clothing that I liked. And then that's when I started Johnny Suede back in 96.
Yeah.
And so I did that for several years. And, and when the economy got bad, then kind of, it was rough. So then you kind of change your gears a little bit, and I started doing all the clothing for that show, Sons of Anarchy.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that carried me for 7 years, and then with that opened a lot of other doors. So when you start getting a break like that, which was 100% lucky break, because that happened on me sending an email to 20th Century Fox just saying, "Hey, I have some ideas for some jackets. Is there somebody I can speak to?" And that's how that all happened.
Really?
It was, I don't want to say pure luck, but because, I did make the effort, and I kind of I might have sent maybe 2 or 3 emails, but, it was the fact that they called me back was pretty lucky,
Yeah, for sure. I listened to a business related podcast, and the guy's always talking about the uses of vocabulary. And he doesn't like to use the word luck. He goes along with the idea that you were in a fortunate situation and you chose how to go about, making your own path by choosing, hey, this is a fortunate situation that happened and you chose this way and it prospered for you. So like that's really cool, man. Like to get out there, just throw out an email and have them respond and then just roll with it, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good ride, and it allowed me to do a lot of things. So it allowed me to really, the financially it was very beneficial. So it allowed me to buy more cars and kind of follow that hobby of mine.
That's the real plan at the end, to buy everything you want.
Well, that was just buy the cars that make you happy,
Yeah.
And most of them I've had for 15 years. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I love my cars, but when things get rough, you sometimes you have to part with them,
Oh yeah, no, we know that.
Yeah,
We've done that.
Yeah, especially with COVID, because when COVID hit, I didn't because I'm just by myself here. I didn't really get any of the grants and all that other money. I'm like, oh man, I'm getting screwed.
Yeah.
I have a big warehouse where I do a lot of stuff, but I have it so we run lean, so there's not a bunch of us here, and so I mean through that whole time, I probably ended up selling 3 cars to keep the doors open because my rent's $5,000, my house payment, and everything else.
Wow.
So I was actually going to put a post up and show a picture of my 3 cars and go, as far as I'm concerned, the government owes me these 3 cars,
Right. I would.
Somebody owes me money. Somebody owes me these 3 cars because it wasn't my fault, but we got shut down.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And, you think about it, some of the bigger places that did get grants is like they got grants and didn't need them. I mean, who's to say what they need and what they don't need? But yeah, you're running your business and you've done successful with it for so long, and then hit a speed bump like this and see other people get grants and you don't. That's pretty lame.
Well, I think the most frustrating thing is that I know a lot of people that were getting, and there's always the people that are going to try to get as much as they can unethically, more or less. And so they didn't even own businesses, and then they had like maybe a shell company been sitting there for like 10 years or whatever.
Right.
Next thing you know, they got $120,000, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
I can't even get through the whole thing. I mean, it was like scratching teeth to try to get $20,000, and I'm like, that barely covers the bills for 2 months. But I mean, that was like pulling teeth to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. No good, man. No good at
all. That was a frustrating thing, but I got through it, and it kind of, and really like the first of this year is when I really just started, you can't wait around anymore for it to happen, because I've always been in, like, for some reason, like I've always had enough business to keep the doors open since like in the last year. But,
right.
You just want to make it work. Like you just getting by and paying your bills. You're just like, I'm working my ass off just to pay the bills.
Yeah, so that's how we feel lately.
Yeah, I mean, it gets frustrating after a while, because you're putting so much effort into it that it just, I don't know. I think you start to think like this should be taken off already.
Right. Well, I mean, for a good bit there, like we were seeing a lot of your jackets. A lot of car clubs have posted up, pictures that they got their jackets in, and how amazing some of these jackets look, man. As the custom couple, we even bought some.
Yeah.
So, we
get to join the excitement of waiting for it and then seeing it and then being able to post and be like, look what we got.
Well, I think the coolest thing with your guys' jackets is going to be when you see the logo embroidered, because the new logo is pretty cool.
Exactly.
And when it's the embroidery version of it, is that's when people get really, when for the first time when they've never done it before, because when they've redone them all over and over, they're cool with it. But the first time you do your logo embroidered, you're just like, oh, that's so cool.
Oh yeah, no. For everybody that's listening, like you showed me this, you were like, oh, let me whip something up, and I was like, oh my God, I was sold. I was like, done. I don't even care anymore. Just do it. Like I've like been so excited. So like being able to know like when they get here and like that we're gonna actually like being able to see our logo on a jacket and be like, damn, like we're really doing this.
Yeah, and your new logo looks like it brought you into this is like our new, we're gonna kick ass now, you know?
I love it. I can't thank you enough for doing it for us. I'm so fucking excited to show everybody.
And it kind of pumps me up because a lot of people will come to me and they have ideas of what they want, but they don't really know how to put it all together, you know, as far as graphic wise and that kind of stuff. But during that shutdown, I used to always be waiting on graphic artists to do all my artwork and stuff. And like before, it would be like 3 weeks later. I'm like, come on, can you just do this for me? And it was little things, but you know, you're always on somebody else's time. So during the shutdown, I went online. I took an online course to learn how to do all this stuff, and now I know it. So you kind of get a little pump when you make something for somebody and they see the artwork and they're like, that's so cool.
Those are literally my words.
Yeah, but it makes you. I mean, it makes me feel good because I'm like, oh man, they like it. You know, that's cool.
No, absolutely. And then of course that just shows like, you know, you as a business person that you are, you know, a lot of people during the shutdown, they just stopped. They just, you know, like the fish just stopped swimming. And, you know, they didn't grow, they didn't do anything and didn't try to, you know, teach themselves anything such as you did, you know, to go and teach yourself graphic arts. That's, you know, that's taking that step. And it's like, I don't want to wait on anybody else. And, you know, that's what you really have to do a lot of times. I taught myself how to use Excel spreadsheets. That was a feat in itself.
But I mean, but little things like that, it changes everything. I mean, that really opened the door for me. Now I'm not waiting for anybody now. You know, somebody calls me and they send me their little, it could be just a scratch on a napkin, you know, and the next hour I'll have something cool for you to look at, you know?
Hell yeah.
Whereas before I would have had to call this graphics guy, take a picture of it, you know, and maybe a month later I would get something, maybe, but probably not.
Right, and then you're constantly waiting, and then your customer's waiting, and then you know, at some point the waiting stops.
It makes me look like the lagger, then I'm the guy that's dropping the ball, and so I mean, it was definitely worth it. I mean, that's probably the best thing that I've probably ever done, you know.
No, that's awesome, man. I know Sam's like ecstatic about seeing it and everything.
I'm like eager beaver over here.
Yeah, she's chomping at the bit.
I'm waiting until we get the jackets to even release the logo. I don't want anybody to see it until it's in jacket form so that I can post about it and like let them all know who made it.
Yeah, but her lining for her jacket is pretty special. So that's the first jacket that I made with this new stuff. So
nice.
I'm curious to see how it turns out.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah.
So if it turns out bad, then I just made what you wanted. But if it turns out good, then it was my idea, right?
Bad stuff in the first place.
Duh.
So if it looks really cool, then it was all mine. Right? That's how it works.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Like all things that I do, I always have to be extra and have something different. So yes, I had to ask for something different.
Yeah.
That's my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we're on the Rod and Style Radio podcast. Let's get into some of the stuff that you're going to be doing with Chuck and Scratch and the guys.
Well, I think the first thing we're going to start doing is we're going to do a lot of videos to start pushing, because I don't just do those jackets. Like I do a lot of other stuff. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing is like, and I think this has been the biggest benefit for me since I've really started pushing it, is that everything's American made and everything's made in my shop. So, I mean, from the time the fabric gets into my shop, I cut it, we sew it here. I mean, it doesn't leave. I mean, it's going to leave when it leaves in a box, UPS, you know? So I think people need to understand that, and I think they'll appreciate it more, because I've always, I mean, and the funny thing is that I've always made my stuff in America. So from 1996 till now, it's always been American made. But I think now is the first time that people, and everybody's always said, oh, you know, that's cool, I appreciate that, whatever, but I think now people really understand how important it is. So I think if I can show people exactly how I do it and what we do, that it's gonna change everything for me, hopefully.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Especially after people saw like how a lot of things got just completely shut down and prices went straight up just because of some container ships being stuck in a canalway. You know, like if that shuts down your business, then you need to get a little more creative in what you're doing.
Yeah, but I think it helps people. And the other thing that people need to realize is that American made is not just, okay, it's made in my shop, but it's keeping a lot of other businesses that are involved in making these garments in business.
Yes.
So it keeps my dye house, it keeps my embroiderer, my screen printer, the truckers that bring it. I mean, there's so many people that it touches hands here that it's not just me. So now you're involving maybe 8 other little businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean that's where the big thing comes in that people need to realize. You're not just waiting for your container full of $3 shirts that you're going to sell for $70.
Yeah.
Because that's basically how it is, And the funny thing is, people, I don't want to. I only have so much money, so I want to buy overseas stuff because it's cheap. But it's really not. So let's say they bring in a flannel from somewhere else and they pay $2 for it and they're going to sell it for $65. So if I made a flannel and I'm going to be competitive in the flannel market, then mine has to retail for $65, right?
Right. Yeah.
Where it's going to definitely cost me more than the $3 that they pay, but in the long run, they're going to be pretty much the same price. So consciously, people need to be aware and say, okay, you know what? This is an American brand. This is going to help me in the long run,
Right. Yeah. And it's probably going to last a lot longer as well.
That was literally what I was about to say. I feel like the quality that goes into it, it's not only just, everybody touching it, but like you are keeping jobs to people and helping support everybody. You're not just helping one person. You're helping everybody down the line that made this happen.
And that's what people need to realize. And so that's why in a lot of my posts, and some of them get taken down because I know that they don't like it when you tell the truth type of thing.
Well, I think a lot of them are owned by overseas businesses as well.
Yeah, probably. But, so a lot of my posts are kind of saying that, or kind of explaining that, because people don't really realize that. Yeah. They just, in their minds, they think American made, they appreciate it, but in their minds, they think it's going to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah,
but in reality, it's not.
And and that's why we have these conversations like this, so people realize these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important.
They're going to buy that $3 flannel, and in a year when it's full of holes and, worn out, yours is still holding up, and they don't have to buy the same flannel from you 3 different times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why when my jackets, like the thing that really makes me happy about my jackets is when people get them, they'll usually text me, because I keep in contact. Like if somebody orders a jacket from me, and even if they order it on my website, like they'll just click extra large, right? And they order the clicker and their order's placed. So I'll call them. I call everybody that orders a jacket and I'll go, hey, I'm going to make your jacket this weekend. I just wanted to get your height and if you're a slim guy, or if you're a little bit chubby guy, I need to make it, I want to make it right. So, I mean, nobody else, I don't think people, when you order on the website, they're not going to call you. They're just going to fill your order, ship it out, and it's yours, right? Yeah. So these are little things that when I ship their jacket and they get it, they send me messages and they're so stoked that it just makes you feel good. You're knowing that you're giving them something that they're happy to wear. They're just happy with their jackets.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest part of it too, is like the personal touch of being in contact with the people that you're working with, and then they get their their jackets and stuff from you, and then they'll post it to their pages and their car club pages and all that, and then it's just the circle just keeps going around, and that's
and I think that's also what's helped me kind of get the wheels on this whole thing, because people are telling their friends, or people are telling another club, the car club, that, hey, we got these jackets and they're awesome,
Now you've got a big love for your cars and, car culture itself. Has that always been like, did you grow up in car culture?
Yeah, well, my dad was into like lowriders and stuff. So when I first got out of design school, and I told you I started my own, when I first started Johnny Suede in '96, I also I had my business that I was manufacturing clothing. And it was funny because I did the same. I did kind of, it was my kind of a little bit more rockabilly style back then.
Yeah.
But I supplied all of Hot Topic. So Hot Topic was they had a lot of stores at the time, you know? So it definitely was profitable because we were that's before they went overseas and started making everything overseas. When they first opened, like they wanted a lot of stuff fast. So I was their man because I could fill these orders really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So when that started getting, it started making a pretty decent amount of money. So then I opened a rod shop at the same time. So I'm like, a couple blocks from my warehouse, I opened a rod shop on Newport Boulevard over here. And then I opened a little clothing store because I'm thinking like all these things kind of tie together, but I wanted one to be like clothing for the hot rod guys. And then we opened a shop where we could, lower cars and do kind of not like ground up rebuilds, but just kind of help people make their cars cool, more or less, So, I mean, what I realized later is I overextended myself for a while. It was really cool, like everything was going, but then after a while you're like, God, I'm at the rod shop all the time. And now the manufacturing business is starting to suffer.
Right. Yeah. No, I can see that where you get into where you're running multiple businesses and you got to, prioritize what's going to be more profitable, and at the same time prioritize what you love more. And it's tough to do that.
That was the hard thing because the cars was what I love more, but the clothing is what paid for everything to even be there.
Exactly.
So it was kind of like, okay, the rod shop was cool, but the lease is up, and it was only lasted a year. And I said, well, lease is up, but you got to decide which one has to close, and that's going to have to be that one.
Right. Yeah. The only way anything like that ever works is that if you have somebody that you really trust and you hand off, pieces of the business, not ever the whole business, but pieces of it. But when you want to run everything yourself, because that's how I am, it's like, it's real tough to get into multiple things. It's like, we're going to do this one thing, because if I try to do three things, I'm never going to sleep.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, like, now when I think back on that, because knowing when I come to my shop here, I'm usually here for at least 10 hours a day. So I'm like, how did I do that back then? Because it didn't seem like, there's not enough time in every day. So before you know it, it's 3, 4 o'clock. And you're just like, oh, geez, now I'm still behind. I'm always trying to catch up. And when you think about it, it's like, how did I do that back then when I can't even run this now by itself? It's time consuming like crazy.
No, I can imagine. I'd imagine like just running the one business you're doing now is just like beyond crazy. Just trying to run that. I just see how much like you're in the shop. You're always posting pictures. You're in the shop trying on your jackets.
Primarily, all the pictures are in the shop.
yeah, pretty much. And it's funny because like all those posts are like, because before when I had a graphics guy, I'd have to send him, hey, can you make a post for me? But now I just, I bust my own post out, so it's easy.
That's awesome, man. We really appreciate that you came on to the podcast with us, and it's a brand new show that we've started hosting, and we're stoked to be doing it. We talked a couple months ago when you and I first met. And like, we've just loved your story, man. And the fact that, you're into car culture. Of course, you have like some badass cars too. So, what is sitting in your garage right now? Cause I've seen you post a few.
Well, because I've gone through my phases, for a while I was into muscle cars. So I had like some Chevelles and my Firebird and a Galaxy 500. But then, I don't know, just after a while, then you're like, I kind of like Cadillacs. So I've always had like at least one Cadillac, but I'm really into Cadillacs right now because all of my Cadillacs, they always always run great. It's just, they're just easy.
Yeah.
It's just no problem cars in the drive and going down the freeway. It's just, you're just floating. It's so easy. It's just comfortable. But, so I don't know. I went to go do this car club not too long ago. It was about a month ago. And I went up to LA and to do a fitting. So if there's usually like 12 guys, I'll take one of each size And then I'll go up there, and then like they can all try them on. I'll take all the notes, like shorten it 2 inches, whatever. And they all had old bombs. So when I'm driving home, I'm like, God, I want a bomb. You know, because you see all these cars, you're just like, God, I love those cars. But I'm never really around anybody that drives those type of cars, you know. So I'm not real familiar with them. But I don't know. I mean, when you love cars, you just love cars, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, I love all kinds of cars.
You have a couple of Rivieras too, didn't you?
Yeah, I have 2 boat tails.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the funny thing is that's what my dad drove. So I've had 63s and 64s, but to me, like the boat tail kind of takes you back, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We're big fans of the Buick as well. You know, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So, I just really do appreciate you being on the show, and we definitely appreciate all that you're doing, for the culture, for, having a brand that's American made. We really dig that. So, is there any folks that you'd like to give some shout outs to, some folks that, got you where you're at today that you'd like to show some appreciation for?
Well, I guess, I mean, the only people I want to thank is all the people that have ordered jackets, you know, and everybody, even from the ones that came to the shows and things, because usually it takes me about a week to make the jacket. And I'll always say, if you order today, give me about a week and I can get it out. So after Grand Nationals and Moon Eyes back to back, I mean, I had like 150 jackets to make, and it took me like over 2 weeks to make them. So everybody was really cool. And the thing is, like, because I went through the orders and I go, okay, well, I have another 50 jackets to make still. These people are going to start, calling me and going, you told me a week. So I just was reactive and I just texted them and I said, hey man, sorry, I'm running behind. And every single person was cool. I figured, they'll send messages back, no problem. I figured that was going to happen. Every single person was cool. And it just makes you, you're just glad you're dealing with these kind of people.
Right. And
because car people are pretty cool, and they understand other car people. So, I mean, we're all kind of the same in a sense,
Exactly. And I'm sure with everything that's been going on that, the fact that you're reaching out and saying, hey, give me just a little bit extra, like, people appreciate that.
That's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. They don't want to, they don't want to be ghosted. They don't want to not hear from you, and it's hard. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple people out there that are probably going to hear this and go, well, he didn't call me back, but you can only do your best. Right.
Absolutely, man. I mean, we've gone through the same thing. We've been trying to get you onto the show, and all week I've been working late at night, and Sam being a nurse is just, it never fails. It's everything, the best laid plans just, go to waste.
Yeah.
So
well, just like yesterday when we were trying to do it yesterday, and I'm trying to make UPS, and then I got to go to the post office, and I'm like, I got to get these jackets out, man.
Oh no, we totally get that. And it's, again, thank you for taking the time, because I know you working in the shop and, cranking out 150 jackets in 2 weeks. Shit, yeah. I'd be hoping for one a day at that point. Like,
well, and I hope people realize that. I mean, it's a well-oiled machine to be able to do that when every jacket, or pretty much every jacket, is altered a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So every one is like the guy is a little bit slimmer, so then I'll slim it down. The guy's a little bit fatter, I'll make it a little bit bigger. So I mean, it's not like normal. Like if you're going to cut T-shirts, you could lay 150 layers and you're going to cut 150 shirts at a time.
Right.
This is almost like each one is custom tailored, more or less,
Exactly. And that just adds one more quality piece to what you're doing, man. And we really dig it.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Absolutely, man. So we're going to jump off of here, folks. We appreciate y'all listening to the, Rod and Style Radio, this brand new endeavor that Sam and I have jumped onto. If you'd like what we're doing and you listen on Apple Podcast, please go leave a rating and review, and be sure to subscribe and download our episodes, because that's what really helps us out.
And we just want to thank one more time Mr. Johnny Suede, who makes amazing clicker coats, and we're very excited. We'll be able to reveal our new logo soon. And for all our friends that want to check out some of his work, you can find him at Johnny Suede 1 on Instagram. And when these episodes post, we will tag him in everything so y'all can go look at this amazing work.
So
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We always have to do like these shameless self-promotions, right?
Always.
Yeah.
All right,
We
folks.
do, we got to do, right?
All right, folks. This is Lane and Sam from The Custom Couple, and you're listening to Rod and Style Radio, so keep it wild.